Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Danon. I've been watching anime since 1985, and I'm currently reading over 500 manga or light novel series. This means that even though I've read the source material for 14 of the anime airing this season, I did find one anime that caught my interest despite not having read the light novel it's based on. Which anime am I talking about? The Demon Swordmaster of Excalibur Academy. Before we get started, I'd like to quickly ask you to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and it's free. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. 1,000 years in the past, the last of the Demon Lords, Leonis Death Magnus, was overwhelmed by the assault from the United Heroes. Left with no other option than obliteration, Lord Leonis decides to enter into an enchanted slumber for 1,000 years. After all, he must keep his promise to Roselia, the goddess of rebellion. And so, as his castle crumbles around him under the relentless assault from the 6 heroes and their gathered armies, Leonis descends to the depths and begins his long slumber. In the modern day, he is awoken by a young girl, Roselia Ray Crystalia, called Celia by her friends, and her companion, Regina. Only, instead of the horned skeletal body that Leonis went to sleep with, he awakens as a young boy, apparently about 10 years old. However, his powers all seem to be intact, if a bit weaker than when he was at his prime. Suddenly, the trio is attacked by monsters. Voids, according to Celia. Regina stays behind to cover their retreat while Celia and Leo race to the entrance. Celia protects Leo from the assault of a new void, and dies in the process. Free from prying eyes, Leo easily decimates the attacking monsters, and then turns to Celia's corpse. Leo wishes to honor Celia for her noble sacrifice. Although saving a demon lord isn't exactly smart for a human, he wants to repay her. Unfortunately, his expertise in magic is in the realm of death, and as such he has no expertise when it comes to healing magic. He can grant her a new life of sorts. As her wounds close and her spilled blood returns to her body, Celia's eyes opened and, though there were once a brilliant and beautiful shade of blue, they're now glowing red. As her lungs fill with air for the first time, we see a small pair of fangs in her mouth. But the next time she opens her eyes, they're back to blue, and her teeth are once again straight. We find out later on what exactly Celia has become, but I'll let you watch the show to find out for yourself. Everything up to this point was just the first episode, which didn't exactly hook me, but it didn't turn me off either. I decided to give the show another few episodes, and I'm very glad I did. Before we go into spoiler territory, I'll first discuss what I liked about the series from a broad perspective, rather than going into specifics. Main characters carry the story, and they are one of the key pillars in any anime. You have to have likable, realistic characters. Obviously, magic isn't real, just like being undead isn't either. That's not what I'm talking about. You need characters who seem real. They need to have goals, dreams, flaws, quirks, skills, and most importantly, personality. We know that Leo is a demon lord, and the fact that he ran away and slept instead of facing his fate is the act of a coward. But he doesn't run away to save his own skin, or I guess I should say bones. But because if he's destroyed here, then the goals of the goddess of rebellion will fail. After all, he's the last of the demon lords, who we assume were her servants. With that in mind, Leo has shown that he cares more about long-term goals than saving face or the opinions of his enemies, which to me is appropriate behavior in a demon lord. But it is weird to see it in a 10-year-old boy. Celia is from a family of holy knights. In this modern era, people who can summon holy swords are known as holy knights. Not sure why they're called swords and not more a generic holy weapon, especially since Celia's maid summons a shoulder-mounted cannon, but I digress. Celia is working hard to live up to her family's name, but she's been unable to summon her own holy sword. This is both a mark of shame and character growth for her. Even though she's ridiculed about not being able to summon her own weapon at school, her friends admire her stubborn willpower, and they all know that one day she'll get a holy sword of her own. She also shows that she has a big heart when she doesn't hesitate to save Leo, whom she assumes is just a lost child. She shares her food with Leo, helps him around, even saves his life. At least, she thinks he needs saving. The only side character we get to know in the first episode is Regina. While we do get a short flashback where we see Roselia, the goddess of rebellion, but who she is isn't explained. Shari and Blackus, Leo's loyal servants, are also introduced. We quickly realize that Regina is your typical Genki gal, chipper, loyal, lovable, and a bit of a flirt. She enjoys teasing Leo quite a bit, and really enjoys his cute reactions. The advantage to a fish-out-of-water character like we have with Leo is that when other characters are explaining things to him, we, as the audience, are also learning about the world. Voids are apparently a relatively new development, having only appeared 64 years ago. I say relatively new because to a demon lord who has been asleep for 1,000 years, that may seem like a blip on the radar. But to a 15-year-old like Celia, her entire life, as well as the lifetime of her parents, has been dominated by humanity's fight for survival against the Voids. Throughout the first episode, Celia and Regina appear to be using high-tech equipment. You'd expect this after 1,000 years of technological innovation, but this was a world of swords and sorcery. Leo believes that all their high-tech devices are powered by magic, and is impressed with human innovation. The end of episode 1, Leo, Celia, and Regina riding on Celia's motorcycle, shows a shining city floating on the water, the 7th Assault Garden. Leo is blown away. Nothing he's seen up till now, not the communication device, not Celia's strange weapon that's both a sword and a gun, has prepared him for this new world. Now, a bit of spoiler, but it's very small. It turns out that the technology is, in fact, powered by magic. Not just the handheld technology we see Regina and Celia using, but also the motorcycle they ride. The entire city is powered by a massive mana crystal of some kind. I won't go into too much detail about it, but it is interesting to me to see how the city is powered by a mana crystal, and the void monsters appear to have some kind of crystalline structure as well. Humanity, despite coming a long way in the last 1,000 years technologically, is on the brink of extinction. The Voids are stronger than humans, more durable, and far more violent. We see this in the first episode with Celia getting disemboweled. Regina is able to take one out only because of her holy sword, but a regular human has no chance against a Void. Now, humanity has a savior. Or not. Our main character does not care about humans. He left his humanity behind long ago and serves the goddess of rebellion as a demon lord. However, as we've already seen, Leo is an honorable man, so he will use his power to protect both Celia and her friends. And since he still wants to learn more about this world, he finds that he may need to use his power to protect more than just Celia. So you've got humanity on the brink and a returned demon lord who wants to take over the world to help his goddess. Additionally, no one remembers the demon lords or even a war that happened 1,000 years ago. Which means Leo should be free to do what he wants, right? No one's around who can stop him anymore. But it's better to be cautious. After all, who else knows what's really going on here? Despite having a demon lord as the main character, overall the show is pretty light. Lots of comedy and levity despite how dark the world can be. People laugh and try to make the best of things. There is still hope in humanity. There's also a bit of ecchi. No actual nudity, but teasing and implied nudity. Leo certainly enjoyed the sensation of having his head pressed against Celia's breasts. However, despite a couple of ecchi scenes and all the jokes, the series remains a dark fantasy. There is a lot of death, there are monsters killing humans, and Leo's backstory is pretty dark and gruesome. We get a couple of flashes of it in the first episode, but it isn't fully revealed until a few episodes later. Speaking of spoilers... Okay, so as I write this, I just finished watching episode 5. I don't want to spoil a lot. I want you to go into the show kinda blind like I did. But I did want to talk about Leo's retainers and Celia. All of this is from episode 2 and the beginning of episode 3, so not too far into the series. If you want to skip spoilers, skip to the timestamp on the screen right now. Okay, the episode starts out with us seeing the day Celia became an orphan, the same day a stampede happened. Stampedes are rare, but basically a Void Lord summons a ton of other Void monsters to a specific location. Very few people survived the attack 6 years ago, including Celia's entire family, all of whom were Holy Knights. So if Celia comes from an entire family of Holy Knights, why hasn't she been able to manifest her holy sword yet? But there were two parts of this episode that I wanted to talk about that clinched the show for me as a must-watch. The first one is when Leo hid himself in the bathroom and summoned his two minions, Blackus the Wolf and Shari the Demon Maid. Blackus is your typical loyal hand, the goodest of boys. Shari, on the other hand, is a tease and a tsundere, and I love her. When she finds out that her master will be attending school and pretending to be a human, she mumbles under her breath that she wanted to be the one taking care of him while he was in that cute new form. Leo is not amused. I've been told that this is basically how their relationship stays throughout the rest of the series, with Shari being just a bit too tsundere to confess her feelings to Leo, and instead sulking all the time about how he never notices her. The other scene I wanted to talk about was the finale. Throughout the episode, Celia feels faintish, culminating in her almost passing out. It's almost like she's anemic. In fact, that's exactly what's happening. Leo goes into the bath and is shortly joined by Celia. This, of course, embarrasses Leo, but Celia still views him as a child and not a romantic interest. After all, she's a mature 15 and he's only 10 or so. After she reaches over to begin shampooing his hair, Celia falls to the floor. Leo touches her thigh, and the unholy symbol that appeared when he saved her in episode 1 appears. Celia's eyes shift back to red and her fangs return. Instinctively, she sits up and drinks Leo's blood. Leo informs her that she, Celia Rey Crystallia, is dead. The part that I love about this scene was how well she took it. I'm sure that part of it was because Celia had his mark on her body, making her one of his minions. And not just any undead, a vampire queen. But the exact specifications and effects of magic are often left out of anime and only covered in the light novels. Honestly, when this show is finished airing, I'll probably be picking up the remaining light novels. Bookwalker has up to volume 9. I'm not sure when this series will end, but my guess is the end of volume 2. I hope I convinced you to check out this fun and interesting anime. If you enjoy a bit of comedy and ecchi in your dark fantasy, I encourage you to check it out. New episodes stream every Monday over on High Dive. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits at gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. There are several tiers to choose from. You can pick an anime or manga for me to do a video about, or you can join our monthly manga club. I also want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Jiraiya, Danny, Muffins, Marcus, Squishy, Brett, Roxy, Josh, Sean, Pob Zombie, Mark, Alex, Cookie, Borgie, Jake, Exiled Rogue, Manassas, Nazwin, Pedro, Erno, Tom, and Echo Fox. You guys are awesome. I post anime and manga videos often, or you can click here to watch additional videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.